We're heading back to supermarkets, this time Sainsbury's, and this is a Camden Cold IPA. Chilly Cold IPA, as the name says. But what's it going to be like? Keep watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to Sainsbury's and a can of this beer that's suddenly appeared. Camden Chilly Cold IPA. Now, Cold IPA, it's a bit of a style. It seems to be a few more sort of coming out this in this last sort of year. It's basically a hybrid lager IPA. Yes, it's something to do with they use lager yeast. It's obviously made at a colder temperature. It's usually not as hazy. It's a bit more clear, a bit more cleaner. So it's almost like it's more drinking like a lager. It's not an imperial pale lager. That was another thing that we had. IPL they were called. Get a few of those. We've had, I think, around about this time last year, around about Christmas time, I had one of those. This is a similar sort of style. I don't know why they've changed it to cold IPA, get a marketing term. But let's crack it open, get it in a glass, and see what it's all about. So it's got this from Sainsbury's. It seems, what I want to talk about, actually, before I pour it out, is supermarkets. And I'm going to put this on the, you'd see the headline on the thumbnail here. Have they fallen out of love with craft beer? Because I'm a bit disappointed. This sort of second half of the year, we haven't had lots of great new supermarket craft beers. Tesco, I mean, the last stuff they had in was sort of in the summer. They've not really, we've had a little bit of the odd stout here, the odd beer from Vault City, but they've not had a whole new load of pale ales and IPAs, which they used to have, certainly this time of the year. Sainsbury's seem to have been catching up, and they've got a few more in this sort of period than a lot of the other supermarkets. We've got Morrison's, they had they had a couple of the new Polly's, but not a load of stuff. And you go into Tesco or to some extent Morrison's, where they used to be big on craft, and you look there and you think, this is the same stuff they had like a year ago. It's not really moved on. But anyway, let's put this beer in a glass. I had my little rant about that, because I think, yes, the prices are going up as well in the supermarkets. You know, you're paying £3.50 for a craft beer, whether that be a pale ale or an IPA, and you know, you can pay a little bit more and get a much better quality. So maybe people that buy craft beer aren't going in the supermarkets and buying it. And those that don't buy craft beers are looking at it and going, well, the cost of living, can I want paying £3.50, £4 for a can of beer when I can buy this box of beer for 10 quid? It's lager, but it's, you know, a reasonably good premium lager for boxes for 10, 12, 14 quid for like 12 bottles. Much better value. But anyway, this beer, as I said, it does look like a hybrid of an IPA and a lager. It's got a slight haze to it. It's not completely clear like you would expect from a lager. It's got this sort of orangey sort of haze, but it's not a thick haze. We've got literally a finger of head, which is going down pretty quickly. So I'm going to just top it up, see if we can get a bit more liveliness from it. Again, not too much, but you can see there's quite a lot of carbonation. It's going to be a little bit more fizzier, a little bit more like a lager in its sort of mouthfeel. But where it can get that, some of those fruit flavours, we'll find out, shall we? Let's see what it smells like first. Yeah, I mean, like lager, really. I mean, you're not picking up much malt. There is a sort of a slightly fruity aroma, but it's very, very subtle, to the point where you can't really see. It smells slightly different. It doesn't smell malty like a lager does, but it's very difficult to pick out any of the fruits. Very disappointing when it comes to the aroma. But let's see what it tastes like. Cheers, everyone. Some interesting flavours, but we'll start with the mouthfeel. Very light, very, very light. It has a mouthfeel of a lager to some extent. Carbonation sort of medium. It's not as fizzy as a lager, but it's not as soft as an IPA, really. There's a little bit of prickly carbonation in there. Flavour-wise, there's lots going on. It's got almost that sort of Sabro or Talus sort of a pop flavour. Let's have a quick look. I wouldn't expect it to have either of those in them. I'm going to put my glasses on because I can never read these cans. So, Mosaic Cryo. Oh, has got Talus and Chinook. Interesting. Chinook's usually you get it more on a West Coast sort of beer. It's definitely got a Talusy sort of flavour to it. That pink grapefruit. But it's almost got a slightly coconutty flavour as well. It's more like Sabro than it is Talus. There's a little bit of harshness in there. A little bit of sort of bitterness. That's where you get from the Chinook. Chinook, again, you get that more in a West Coast sort of beer. And you can taste that in here. Mosaic Cryo. A little bit lost. It drinks to me like a sort of mild West Coast IPA, really. It's got the sort of body of that West Coast IPA. It's got a little bit of harsh sort of piney bitterness in there as well. There's a little bit of citrus in there, lemons, a little bit of grapefruit, a little bit of orange rind as well. But there is it's definitely got a flavour of Sabro in it. It's that sort of coconutty, that pina colada sort of flavour. So weird that you're getting that when Talus, although is a sort of cousin of Sabro, it's not quite. It's got a little bit of pink grapefruit, but I'm getting more of that sort of coconut. I'm going in again. There's some interesting flavours in there. I can't get my mind out of the fact that it's got that sort of Sabro, but there's a pininess. It's the conflicting, because Sabro, you usually get it in a bit more creamy New England IPA type of beer. But this is a more Westy Coast sort of flavour. Piney bitterness, a little bit of sort of grapefruit and orange rind, that sort of marmalade-y sort of flavour is definitely in this beer. But for me, it's not a style that I really enjoy, because it is like a fruity lager, really. It's very, very thin, like a lager in terms of its body. A little bit less carbonation, but that almost feels like it's a sort of slightly flat lager. I don't know how that, just because it's so thin, that sort of lack of real zippy carbonation just makes it a little bit sort of almost like a taste of a flat lager. There's obviously fruity flavours in there, but there's a lot of conflict. You're getting pininess and bitterness. They're the sort of big, strong flavours. You get a little bit of the rind of an orange, that sort of large rind, almost like a blood orange sort of flavour. But then there's this weird sort of slightly coconutty flavour. The Talus, I think, it's just used a bit differently for some reason. And whether it's the fact that the Talus with the two mosaics and the Chinook just makes it a bit different, but it's not great. I appreciate they're trying to make more of it, and I think people might like it if they like lagers and they like the idea of this. There's a bit more flavour to it, but it's almost like a mixture of old school IPA, new school craft sort of IPAs with lager, with a little bit of bitterness in there as well. And for me, it doesn't work as a style. I mean, the style just doesn't work quite well for me. If I want something light and thin like this, I want a lager, basically. But because I'm not getting the refreshment, because I'm getting a little bit of dryness, the bitterness, that pininess coming in. Yeah, not my favourite. And I think the choice of hops, not quite. I would have liked something a little bit more upfront and citrusy, which I'm not really getting. I'm getting... That's very much in the background. The sort of pininess is more up front, and then, as I say, this strange sort of the way Talus, I wouldn't expect it to be used at all. It not really works. It's just not working right for me. But I'm interested in what you think. Who drinks a cold IPA? I mean, I don't think it's a style that a craft beer drinker would go for. If they drink pale ales and IPAs, well, even West Coast and East Coast IPAs, I don't think a cold IPA is something that really sort of appeals to them. Again, it's a bit of a marketing gimmick, I think, and for me, it doesn't work. If I want something that's like a lager, I'll drink a lager. If I want something that's an IPA, like an IPA, I'll drink an IPA. I think the two styles smashing together doesn't really quite work. So this is Camden Chilly Cold IPA. Not the greatest. Let's get some scores. And until then, keep on rocking. Okay, the scores are in for Camden's Chilly Cold IPA. This is available in Sainsbury's now. £3.50, I think it was. And they're all £3.50. It might have been £3, but I'm thinking it's £3.50. Yeah, cold IPA, not a style that I really like, and this isn't a great example of it. But let's go through the scores. Shall we start with aroma? Appearance? Flavour? Value for money? Overall experience? And that gives a total score, not great, of... Keep on rocking, folks.